All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're jumping back in time, way back, like 1,000 years, to dig into this incredibly modern economic theory. And it comes from a thinker you probably never ever heard about in your econ class. His name is Ghazali. And trust me, his ideas, they might just change the way you think about money forever. Okay, so let me ask you something. When I say the father of modern economics, who pops into your head? Seriously, just take a second. I bet you've got a name, maybe even two, right on the tip of your tongue.
And yeah, I'm going to guess it's one of these two guys, right? You've got Adam Smith over here, Mr. Free Market himself, and then you've got Karl Marx, his biggest critic. This is the classic story, the one we all get taught in school. It's pretty Western-centric when you think about it.
But what if I told you the real story started much, much earlier? What if a really powerful warning about how markets can fail and about the actual morality of money was written down almost 1,000 years before either of these guys even picked up a pen?
And that brings us to our guy, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. He was a scholar who looked at economics and didn't just see numbers and charts. No, he saw a reflection of a society's soul.
So who was this guy anyway? Well, al-Ghazali was this brilliant Muslim scholar and philosopher right in the middle of the Islamic Golden Age. And you gotta understand, he wasn't just locked away in some ivory tower. He was right there, watching this booming global commerce happening all around him. And the really cool part? He looked at it all through a psychological lens. It was all about human behavior for him. And that way of thinking, that focus on psychology, led him to his first huge idea. It's this powerful metaphor he called money as a mirror. So what did he mean by that? For al-Ghazali, money itself isn't actually wealth. It doesn't have any real value on its own. It's just a tool. Think of it like a mirror. Its only job is to give a fair and stable reflection of the value of the real stuff being traded. The grain, the cloth, the work people do. And this is the key. The whole point of money is just to make trading things easier for everybody. It's supposed to be a tool for the community, kind of like a public utility, not some private treasure to be locked away. When it's working right, that mirror is perfectly clear, no distortions.
And this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing, just how far ahead of his time he was. We're talking centuries before modern economists gave these things names. Al-Ghazali was already talking about them. He was describing what we now call transaction costs, the pain-in-the-neck factor of making a deal, and information asymmetry. That's when one person in a trade knows a whole lot more than the other. He saw it all.
But if money is a mirror, that mirror can get cracked. It can even shatter. And that brings us to Al-Ghazali's most serious warning. He saw this sickness spreading through the economy, a danger he called dead money.
So what's dead money? Well, that was his term for any wealth that just gets yanked out of circulation. It's the coins buried under the floorboards. It's the capital that's just sitting there, doing nothing. It's not flowing, it's not funding anything new, and it's definitely not supporting the community. And his metaphor for the damage this causes? Wow, it is powerful. He said that when wealth is hoarded, it freezes the bloodstream of society. Just let that sink in for a second. It's not just a small problem or an inefficiency. To him, it was a fatal condition. It literally stops the lifeblood of the economy from flowing.
And he laid out exactly how this disaster happens step by step. First, people start hoarding money just for the sake of having it. That means the capital just sits there. It becomes idle. And because it's not moving, trade starts to dry up. Families who depend on that trade, they're left with nothing. This creates a massive blockage, a clot, right in the heart of the system. And eventually, the whole thing just fails. It grinds to a complete stop.
So, okay, an 11th century scholar. Why are we talking about this now? Because this warning, this 1,000-year-old warning, might be more relevant today than it has ever been.
See, for al-Ghazali, this whole thing was built on a moral compass. He was basically screaming from the rooftops that the second money stops being a simple tool for trade and becomes the goal itself, that's when society starts to rot from the inside out. It's not just about an economic downturn, it's a deep social decay. Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. If al-Ghazali was right, if money really is a mirror reflecting who we are as a society, our health, our values, what do we see when we look in that mirror today?